Hello and welcome back to London Leatherboys. This is episode 2. Same format as last time. First segment, we are going to be discussing a classic album that we feel is maybe underappreciated or, just one that we love personally. And today I'm going to be starting off. So, yeah, this section is called Echoes from the Past. And I have decided today to bring Unlaced by BlackLace. This is a really awesome, I believe they're from New York, if I'm not mistaken.
They are indeed. Yeah, I've just had this one on as well.
Excellent. What was the track you listened to? It was Runner in
Oh,
the
I,
Night.
I have I had the whole album on.
Excellent. Yeah, you were just spinning that before we started, right?
Yeah. I saw it was on Mausoleum Records, which is a label I really love. And as soon as you kind of said it, I was like, "Oh, a record I've missed by them."
I
So
know.
it was really nice that this actually prompted me to go and find something that I've missed from
Yeah.
that label.
Because Belgian label, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. They did a lot of like the European stuff back in sort of 84ish, like 85, 86, those years.
Absolutely. And this, I mean, like I say, it is. Now, in my opinion, there's only one bad track on this album, and that's "Hots for You." You might agree, you might disagree on that one.
I know what you mean. It goes almost a bit kind of cheesy, kind of late 80s LA kind of thing, where it's like the tacky end of glam.
Yeah, I agree. But aside from that, I mean, there are some absolutely killer tracks on this, particularly "Runner in the Night." That one is just. It,
What was the second track? Refresh my
that is
memory.
"Call of the Wild."
That's it. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's. I mean, most of the songs on this record are pretty fantastic. If I'm honest, for me, quite an underappreciated bit of East Coast heavy metal, and like these guys just look like a proper heavy metal band, don't they?
Oh yeah, you've got to.
And so, of course, founding members of this band, you got Carlo on guitar and Anthony, both Frignito brothers, guitar and bass, and then Marianne Scandifio. This is possibly the most Italian names I've ever heard.
Very New York.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is their debut album, released in 1984 through Mausoleum Records. This did help them a bit. They got a bit of traction. They came to Europe. They performed at the Shockwave Festival in Belgium in 1985, which had a few other notable names on it. And you know what? Ross the Boss produced a few of the songs on this record.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's wicked.
yeah, absolutely. I discovered that on my research earlier. I have to find out exactly what songs he did, but I'm pretty sure he's in the credits for this here. I'll have a little look when we're discussing your album in a moment. I mean, it starts off strong. Like I say, of course, March of the Black Witch is an instrumental, which then leads into Call of the Wild, which is a killer opener, into Damn Cheetah. It's got one of those choruses where she's like, Damn Cheetah, and then the guys in the background doing like the sort of echo of it. It,
Yeah.
it's nothing flashy. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's some good
Oh,
shredding
I
on
love
there.
a gang vocal though.
Absolutely, but for me, it's just some solid heavy metal. It is your meat and potatoes heavy metal. It's bloody good fun, and they opened up for Manowar, Twisted Sister, Plasmatics back in the day. It's bloody good fun, man. And I'm sure we'll be able to discuss this in a little further detail in a moment. But I'd love to hear what record you've selected this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of back over in Europe, the other side of the pond, gone with Sortilège from France. This is
Excellent.
their second full-length L'Arme des Heroes, which is Tears of the Heroes, I believe. I've got the nod of approval, so that is
Yes.
correct. Got my bona fide French person. This is the High Roller reissue. It's not an original, sadly, but High Roller do an amazing job of these reissues. I'm sure we both have a ton of them.
A lot of high roller, absolutely.
Yep. So these guys formed in 1981 in Paris, although they were active for a year as Bloodwave before changing their name to Sortilège, which then a year later they put out their demo in 1982 and their self-titled EP in 1983. So they kind of, 1 year per thing. Then in 84 came the first album, Metamorphose, and then this one, which I think, I love all their stuff actually, but I think this one is probably my favorite. Don't know about you.
It's quite a melancholy album for a couple tracks, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. They mix it up a bit with this one.
Yeah, because I forget the name of the other release with the sort of big alien-looking spider thing sort of on
That's
the front.
Metamorphosis, the first one.
Yeah, because that to me is a lot more faster. Whereas there's a couple tracks on this. If you turn it round for me, I forget.
Yeah.
I mean, it might actually be the title track, if I'm not mistaken. That's let me have a look.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit more kind of.
Yeah, it's a bit more somber in places.
which personally I like. Like I love having a record that has a bit more of the dynamics. But then yeah, I love the first one and the EP as well, just for being straight rippers. This is more of like a kind
Yeah.
of a mix it up album. And with both the albums, they released them in French and English. I personally, I love hearing records just in other languages. So
Yeah.
for me, I'd just pick the French versions because it's more interesting, I guess, to me.
Yeah, I think French, I think, is such a great language for heavy metal. It just translates so well, like Attentat Rock, Sortilège, uh,
Ochbomb.
Archbomb. I used to call them H-bomb back in the day.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, same here. And I still am probably really ballsing that up, but
hey,
you know,
that's fine. I'm sure our
we're
French.
British. We don't
Yeah,
speak French.
exactly. Battle of Waterloo and whatnot. But there are some, and Animalize now, who I think are one of the best up and coming French heavy metal acts. They're so
Yeah,
much
they're
fun,
really cool.
so much
I
fun
know
to
you
see.
really rate those guys.
They're such great lads as well, But I think personally, right here, we've got two records that I think particularly stand out from opposite sides of the pond, and
Yeah,
I think we
they're
strong.
both definitely very melodic
Oh,
heavy metal records.
absolutely, and I encourage anyone who hasn't listened to these two records yet, give it a go. And see, BlackLace, I don't think are performing too much anymore, but Sortilège are still pretty much on the road. I saw them, in
Yeah,
fact,
they
at
did.
hmm,
They did two new albums in 2021 and 2023, so they've
keep them
got some
busy.
recent records. We'll be seeing them at Keep It True, of course.
I'm really looking forward to that. I caught a bit of
Me
their
too.
set at Trueheim. I believe it might have been a couple of years ago now, and again, really good fun. But it'd be nice to see a full set, hopefully feeling a bit more sober. Keep
Yeah,
it true.
yeah, definitely. That'll be a really fun one.
Yeah,
I think with a whole lot of us as well, that'll be a good time.
I'm really looking forward to that. And you know what? Big shout out to the Keep It True team. Really looking forward to that festival. It's such a strong lineup. And I think that's probably a good segue into our next section, Live, Loud, and
Yeah,
Lethal.
absolutely. Let's talk about some live, loud, and lethal stuff we're going to this year. So I think Keep It True, I guess, is maybe the obvious one that we're both going to in April.
Oh, yes, indeed. And you know what? I'm just going to pull up the lineups for these festivals just on my other screen here, just so we can talk about it.
Yeah,
And
by
sort
all
of,
means, please do. I've got a kind of a little notes thing here with just a few highlights for me, like Sortilège, Medieval Steel, Brockushelm, Riot, Violence,
yeah,
Solitude, Eternus, Drifter, Amethyst. Yeah, I'm kind of reading most of the lineup.
you've
I
got
could
it
have just
memorized
read
there.
the whole lineup.
Oh, absolutely. And can't forget Alien Force. That's going to be a banger.
Of course, no. The only reason I didn't put Alien Force on that one is because they're also playing Metal Magic, so I kind of stuck them on the Danish festival.
Oh,
I didn't forget.
oh, absolutely. And of course, let's talk about that Riot headliner for a second, because this isn't Riot 5 like we're used to seeing.
Yeah, indeed. And with all due respect, Riot 5 in 2022 at Keep It True Rising when they played Thundersteel in full was one of probably in the top three shows I've ever been to. So
So jealous I didn't get to see that. Again, I saw them at Trueheim a couple of years ago. The set, unfortunately, was plagued with technical issues. I don't think it was anyone's fault in particular. It's just one of
yeah,
those things.
happens.
But you know what? They were great showmen. They performed way longer than they were supposed to because of that technical issue. A great band altogether, really. And, like I say, a legacy that spans, goodness.
50 years.
Yeah, they started in the 70s. In fact, I've got Narita somewhere down there from a good friend of mine, Ray, that he gave me. So great record
Very
there.
nice.
And pretty much all the way throughout their career, they've just been very consistently good.
Yeah,
And
I'd
then
agree.
second headline, we've got Solitude Eternus, and blimey, I wasn't overly familiar with them until I saw them at Hell's Heroes last year in Houston, and it blew me away. I've always had a
I'm
soft
yet to
spot.
see them live, so that'll be really cool.
They sounded fantastic, and as soon as I saw them, I thought, right, I need to listen to all of their records, and that they're phenomenal. Familiarize yourselves with them if you haven't already, guys. Some fantastic 90s doom, and they are going to absolutely bring the house down, no doubt. Are there any bands in
Definitely.
particular? Wow, we've got a secret band at Keep It True. Do we want to speculate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm kind of the opinion that maybe because Hasha and Preacher did that signing, that maybe it's something to do with that because they have their own band, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't want to say tribute because they are original Running Wild members, but playing the early material of which they were of course recording members.
yeah.
Maybe it could be something to do with that signing, or maybe that was just a really cool signing because they happen to be in the
Yeah.
area, and it's nothing to do with it.
I mean, you know what? And just to sort of touch upon that a bit, they stayed for a long time after they were due at their signing session. They made sure
Yeah,
that everyone in that line got their stuff signed. So props to them
there
for
was a
that.
couple people I think scrambling towards the end. I thankfully, I don't know if you can see it up there, but I have the CD
Yeah.
of the debut album signed by them both, and then I just have the record for listening, and that's just for collecting purposes.
Just for keepsake, and I mean, hell of a record, man. And I really hope that is the case. But you know what? I feel like they'd be talking about it a lot more if it was. You know?
Yeah, maybe so. Like I say, that could have just been a lucky coincidence that they did that signing by maybe they were just traveling through like the Bavarian part of Germany,
Yeah.
and that was just it.
Absolutely. And there's a couple other bands on this list that I want to talk about a little bit more. But you know what? I think we should cover some of the other festivals we're going to as well, because some of these bands are cropping up again at those fests, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one that I'd really like to bring up in particular, of course, is one that me and my better half M are going to in just over a week from now. Just under a week, actually. It's going to be Hell's Heroes. And may I just say, I'm really looking forward to this festival.
I'm
Unfortunately,
really challenged.
there have been a couple bands that have dropped out, unfortunately. You know, I think particularly with Century, that was a big thing for me. I was such a shame that they dropped out. But just recently, I know it's kind of controversial to say it, but I was quite looking forward to seeing Warlord, although it's only one original member. I love those tracks, and it'd be great to hear.
I never saw any version of Warlord, so yeah, I'm of the same kind of thing where it's like, but then I would still love to see the songs live, so I understand
Yeah.
there is a conflict there to be argued on both sides.
It is rather difficult, but you know what? Hell's Heroes is shaping up to be, oh my goodness, one of my favourite years so far. I
You've
mean,
got Omen doing Battle Cry in full, which is, one of my top
yes,
5 albums ever. That's going to be insane.
what a record that is. And again, only one sort of original member, but you know what? The rest of the band, I think they do it justice. It really great live, a lot of energy, and people are just so into it. And
Their new singer is phenomenal as well. Like, he
he,
really, really kind of hit all the marks of the first 3 records, which is what you want to hear.
exactly, is very much on the money there. And speaking of singers that can sort of hit the nail on the head, we got Crimson Glory, who unfortunately I did miss at Keep It True Rising this last year. Heard mixed things. I heard some people say it was great. Heard some people say there's room for improvement. But you know what? I'm just going to go in as blind as I can and just look forward to the spectacle of it, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, every band has off days, don't they? I saw Omen doing 2 shows in the same week, and one was super duper tight.
Yeah.
The other one, they had loads of difficulties with the tech. It happens. No one's infallible, but it was night and day, just the level of performance and professionality around it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's the same here. We got Abath, of course, of Immortal fame, doing a classic Immortal set. I saw him in London a few years ago, and it had to get cut off early, and it just wasn't a great show. Maybe he had some personal things going on. I don't know what the deal is. Nothing but respect for the guy, but it was not a great performance that night. So I'm hoping this time will be a lot better. Because I think the first 2 Immortal records for me, the one with the ridiculously long title where they're on the front, just breathing fire and whatnot, phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
And then Pure Holocaust as well. For me, those are 2 quintessential. I feel like they bridged the gap between first wave and second wave black metal quite well, you know?
Yeah, they're still very riffy.
I think so. And I obviously won't go through this entire lineup, but I'll just name a few names. Got the Cavalera brothers doing their Sepultura set.
I saw them doing Morbid Visions in full, and it was so good. It was really insane.
Absolutely tight. And this seems like a best of the first few records, which is awesome.
That's great.
We've got DRI, hometown heroes there. We got Satan. We got San Antonio Slayer, which is going to be awesome.
Can't wait to see them at Keep It True, actually.
Oh,
That's
of course.
another one.
Also going to be there, Go for the Throat, absolute classic. We've got Coroner, Enforcer, Satan, Hyrax, Onslaught. Oh my god, Nasty, Savage, Sadistic Intent, Raven, Fifth Angel, Attacker, Hell Ripper. Haunt. The Haunt feel like the house band for Hell's Heroes. And that is with no disrespect. I like seeing Haunt. It's good to see them. We got Sabir, now featuring my good friend Quentin Lawson, who also is a Mean Mistreater, playing the pre-show at Hell's Heroes. Don't miss it.
Very cool.
They are killer. Void, who have a lot of traction behind them at the moment, got that very much, almost I'd say like Canadian proggy thrash sound, similar to Annihilator, I would say. Cool stuff. We got Sanhedrin, Night Cobra, Chambermaid, White Magician. The list goes Solicitor. The list goes on and on. It's shaping out to be fun in the sun, So
Oh yeah, if I had the kind of Texas travel money, I'd come over for that festival quite happily.
Absolutely. So very much looking forward to that. And yeah, what else would you like to discuss festival wise?
I think the big one for me in the first half of this year, much like how you've got that along with Keep It True, my other big one that I'm really looking forward to is Metal Magic
Of
in
course.
Denmark, which third year in a row there is maybe about 1,000 people. It's quite a small. It's basically a heavy metal garden party, which
Yeah.
it mixes like heavy metal with some black and death, and it's just a generally really pleasant atmosphere and really nicely run.
Yeah.
And we've got Destruction playing Infernal Overkill in full, which I'm very excited for. Pentagram, we have Venom, the real Kronos Venom, not the one of the many offshoots.
Too many now.
Uh, Denial of God, which is a very cool cult black metal band from Denmark. We have Alien Force, Death Hammer, Goat Seaman, Peruvian war metal nutcases. And I think
Yeah.
most interesting and unique of all the festivals, because I don't think they're playing anywhere else, which is Bratz, which is Michael Denner's band from before Merciful Fate.
Yes,
So
I always thought it was a
that,
precursor, as in like one became the other.
yeah, I mean, I guess it sort of segued through a little bit. I kind of I'm not enough of a Michael Danner historian to comment with any great confidence. I like Bratz, I like Merciful Fate, but I don't want to. There's probably someone way more qualified than me to come in the comments and go, well, actually, um,
Actually.
yeah, and be my guest, please do. But I'm very
Yeah.
excited to see Michael Danner perform on a tiny stage in front of a few hundred people, up to maybe 1,000 tops, with no barriers. Very different to seeing the great Merciful Fate.
Yeah.
As much of a wonderful spectacle that is.
That was a real pleasure. That was awesome seeing them
Yeah,
at
life
Bloodstock.
changing show.
Yeah, but truly fantastic. So, I mean, I would love to go to Metal Magic one year. Denmark is beautiful country, expensive country, but beautiful.
Yeah, I'm half Norwegian, so going back to Norway every so often, I'm kind of Denmark's not so bad, I wouldn't say, but definitely up there. Both much worse than Sweden. Sweden's the affordable one of the three.
Oh goodness, especially in recent years, and I might segue over to my next point if unless there's some other bands you want to discuss that are going to be at Metal Magic.
Oh no, that's it for Metal Magic. But the other quick, while we're on Sweden, that I'd love to mention is that the Abyss Festival looks like it's coming back this year, which we've both been to.
Amazing, yeah.
Before
Separate years, of
before the
course.
hiatus,
Yeah,
and it's a wonderful festival. And I'm just keep an eye on their socials. 'Cause, I'm sure they'll be announcing their first bands hopefully in the near future, and I'm very excited to see what Maya and her team have got in store for us.
absolutely. They always deliver the goods. I remember going in 2018, and it knocked my socks off. Mystic, Niflheim, Amulet. Oh my goodness. What was it? Bombers Bergen, which again, Abath from
Yeah.
Immortal doing a Motorhead tribute. Oh goodness, a number of bands that are slipping from my mind, but what a great weekend it was.
The last one in 2022 as well, we had like Mortuary Drape, Niflheim again,
Yeah,
Destroyer 666, Razor, Whiplash, Dark Quarterer, Marquis de Shard.
yeah,
Tons of. I think I watched every single band that played that weekend just 'cause there was so much good stuff. Eating didn't really seem like much of a priority.
yeah, of course. And you know what? Speaking of Sweden, we have is shaping up to be one of my favourite festivals this year. It's Muscle Rock. This will be my second year going, and it is so much fun. Whether it's hanging out by the lake with your buds, enjoying a few beers at the campsite, or enjoying what Tirollen, horrible pronunciation probably, has to offer. It's such a great venue. There's a lot of fun. Again, so well organised. The staff are really friendly. There's not much bad things you can say about Muscle Rock.
I think it's like the yin and yang with Metal Magic as well. They're
Mm,
both sort of rural in the kind of the much more rural regions of their respective countries, with a sort of similarly just kind of out in the sticks feel. I think that they're quite similar festivals in my head.
for me, Muscle Rock feels like Woodstock if Woodstock was traditional heavy metal.
Yeah.
And it's such a great combination. Just to go through the lineup here, we got Pentagram, of course, going through a lot of viral fame at the moment for that one live clip. We got the great Sabat, or as apparently it's pronounced in Japan, Sabado. Fun
I
fact.
did. Yeah, I've always just said it
Yeah,
Sabat
but
because I'm not that
yeah, proper Anglo boys.
skillful with language.
Yeah, we got Savage Master, Mean Man Chris Holmes. I mean, Miss, always great to see the great Mean Man. Great to hear those Wasp tracks. Mindless Sinner, who I haven't seen yet. Thoroughly
I'm
looking
yet to
forward to
see them
that.
as well. I'd love to see Mindless Sinner.
I heard nothing but great things. We've got Metalucifer, again, the yin and yang of Savat and Metalucifer.
Both phenomenal live. Two of the best live bands I've seen.
I can't argue with that. We got Smolder, who, again, the first Smolder release, it wasn't my favourite. It wasn't quite my cup of tea, but that second Smolder release, for me,
Yeah,
it is just my cup of tea. Both records are good, but one is
I think
just
the
more my
Doomy
cup,
stuff. Yeah, the Doomy stuff's good. It's just that I think we're both almost a bit on the same page, where it's maybe a bit too eccentric for what we'd want in heavy metal. Is that a fair analysis?
I love that they're unique, and I love that there aren't many other bands that sound like them. I respect that
Yeah,
entirely. I think for me, the second record was just a lot more my pace.
I agree. Same here. I think everything they've done has been cool, but that second album really ticked all the boxes for me, much more so.
Absolutely. And of course, we can't forget my good friends in Coven, Japan, coming all the way from Japan over to play some great Japanese heavy metal in Sweden. I met them on a brief trip that I had to Japan a couple of years back now, when I went over to watch the wrestling. And honestly, some of the loveliest people you could wish to meet. And
Great band too.
yeah, they got a killer debut out. If I'm not mistaken, it was released on no, not Dying Victims. It was released with No Remorse Records.
Oh, cool. I got the tape, which Tapes of Terror in Czech Republic did. Like me and Peter, the owner who runs Thrash Nightmare, we did a trade, and I got the tape through him. So
Just a
I guess
ticket.
they licensed it for a tape release. But yeah, it is really brilliant album.
Yeah,
Lovely, authentic '80s kind of feel to it, but also with some like modern conveniences in
yeah.
the production, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we've got Entranced from America. Again, great chaps. Ambush, always good fun. Portrait, Alien Force again.
You missed Ambush, where I think when we could have seen them together, and they were really
I
good fun.
I did, unfortunately.
I'm really glad you get to catch up, because I think they're probably almost the closest band to watching except touring Metal Heart.
You know what? You said that to me before, and I'm glad you've said that again. And I must say, there's one band that I'm very much looking forward to seeing, and that's Helvetet Sport.
I'm
Again,
so jealous. I love those guys.
discussed them in the last podcast, and for me, they are one of the most authentic heavy metal bands of this generation. They've been I say one of the newer bands, but they've been going on for a little bit now. I think they want to make heavy metal for people that want to hear heavy metal.
I agree, absolutely.
And their most recent record, if you haven't heard it, guys, Warlords, it is phenomenal. We got Templar, great young band with some good friends.
Yeah. That new 7-inch as well is killer.
Absolutely. We've got Hands of Gora, Castle Rats, and Hedrin. Some names I'm not too familiar with, if I'm honest, but of course we've got Air Raid, who I've been meaning to see for a while. They've had a few lineup changes. Each album feels like a different band, but you know what? Whatever album they play, I'll be happy to hear it.
Right on.
Yeah.
I think if we're staying in Sweden, maybe we could switch into the Fresh from the Furnace segment, because mine is a Swedish release that we both by a band we both love. So maybe we could bring this up.
I'd love to hear all about it. Let's have it.
So we have Tyrann with their new The Slaughterhouse tapes. Of course, the artwork being an homage to Iron Maiden's Soundhouse tapes.
Of course.
Which I was like, that's so cool. Like, we've both seen them a couple times now, right? Keep it true. For me, Metal Magic. For you, Muscle Rock, I guess.
That's correct. Absolutely. And both times, top notch.
Agreed. And here we have their very, very cool sold out headline show in Sweden, in Stockholm, at Hus 7 venue. They recorded 4 tracks live here, which I'm trying not to get the glare. Hopefully that looks quite good.
That looks lovely.
So we have Face the Tyrant, Don't Make Fashion of Our Heavy Metal Passion, Brembe Mai, and Revelans Music. And they're like 4 of the best Tyrann songs. And for me, they're a band that the records are near enough perfect heavy metal for just being raw energy, stripped back, heavy metal. The only thing that I like slightly more is how energetic and killer they sound live, and now I got that on a 7-inch. What more could you want?
I just want to say this now. For me, their music was made to be played live.
I agree.
Almost all of their songs you can just belt out in a crowd, even if you've never heard it before.
And that's the beauty of it. And here you've got 4 of the most belt-outable, which is my new cool adjective.
Yeah.
On a 7-inch, it's maybe 12, 13 minutes long. put it on when you're in a rush, and bang, heavy metal injection straight to the veins. There's only 250 of these, and I see they're already going for absurd prices on Discogs. But if you can get one without getting ripped off, you really should do so.
Oh, absolutely. To be honest, everything they sort of release tends to sell very quickly, and rightfully so. You know, I think, in my opinion anyway, they are very much the masterminds of what made early Enforcer so memorable.
I think it's just that less is more approach. People want primitive energy, just heavy metal, balls to the wall, and they do it. You know, I've got everything: the tapes, the LPs, the 7 inches, the split with Sanctuary. I've
Yeah.
fanboy signed up. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Of all the modern bands that you can love and follow, I think these guys are definitely the ones you should. And of course, they're all in such great other projects as well. In fact, I'm pretty sure you went to one recently of one of their other
Yeah, yeah.
bands.
We went and saw a Tribulation playing here in London. They've just released their new album, which is I love their early death metal stuff, and I love their kind of more gothy stuff, and it's definitely gone all the way to the goth now. So you know, if you're hoping for death metal, let's not worry about that. But you know, if you like their more gothy stuff, it really is a great album. And sadly, Joseph Thole, who's also the guitarist in Tyrann, wasn't able to make that show, but the rest of them put on a killer night, and it was really enjoyable.
Absolutely. Such great musicians. And of course, there's Black Trip as well, which is again a great side project. A bit more of that sort melodic rock style. Really
Yeah,
fantastic.
for sure.
Really recommend checking that out.
And
And
they played on the best Enforcer stuff, of course.
oh, absolutely. Diamonds for me is, I'll go out and say it's one of the best heavy metal records made after the year 2000. Truly, from start to finish for me, it's everything I want to hear in a metal record, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those. I think everyone has to have it if you're kind of into newer traditional heavy metal.
Yeah.
I think I bet all of us own it in our whole kind of group of friends.
It's such a great gateway album for new listeners of heavy metal, and it feels strange to think it's probably like 15 years old at this point, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Then you got them to sign your record when we saw. Was it a Tribulation gig or a Tyrann gig?
It was Tyrann, Keep It True. I managed
That was it. Yeah.
yeah, I managed to get them to sign the back of it. I think one of them said, "Oh, haven't seen that in a while. We look quite young."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some years have passed.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, great guys. Can't say enough good things about them. Check out, guys, if you haven't already. You probably have, but if you haven't, check out the 7 inch. Check out the two long plays that they've released, and check out anything else they do in the future. They're very well worth
Don't
listening
make
to.
passion of our heavy metal passion.
Yes, do the opposite of that.
Exactly. Yeah, never fucking relax.
Oh, get evil all the time. It's got to be done.
Exactly.
Now,
I'd love to hear what you've got to talk about, because I have a sneaking suspicion it's an album I'm very fond of.
you know what? I'm going to get... This was my favourite album of last year. Of course, we've got Freeways, Dark Sky Sanctuary. What a release. Wouldn't strictly call this a heavy metal album. I would say it's... You know what? If Blue Oyster Cult was a genre, I think this would be part of that genre.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely agree. Especially like 80s Blue Oyster Cult, of which you got me into, actually.
Absolutely. Of course, my darling Em, she's more of a 70s Blue Oyster Cult kind of girl. I like that more AOR 80s stuff from BOC. Going to see them soon, actually, twice. Looking forward to it.
Very lucky.
Great band.
That was our road trip soundtrack in Germany a couple years ago.
Absolutely. I think Dancing in the Ruins definitely came up a few times on that drive.
Still a favourite just for the memories.
Oh, absolutely, man. What a song that is. But of course, talking about Freeways, oh my goodness. We have got, starting off with Forever Protected. What an opener. Like, that riff. Oh, absolutely fantastic.
For anyone curious, this is how he makes me write the Dungeon Shaky guitar part. So
Absolutely.
Can you just go kind of
Can you give me that Witchfinder? You know?
Yeah.
I'll be like, yeah, that's about right. I'm a musician, I am not. And then moving in, we got
Me neither.
Can't Deny Destiny, which has a freaking awesome music video, by the way. That chorus, Destiny. Oh, these guys are from Brampton, Ontario. Truly great Canadian hard rock here. Give 'em the Gears is such a fast-paced, you know, balls to the wall. I think every band needs that song, which is just sort of like, yeah, I'm great, can do what I want, forget the losers, you know,
sure.
that sort of thing. Dark Sky Sanctuary, the title track, that
Probably my favourite song of the album, actually.
It's hard for me to pick one, man. I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, side A for me is my personal favorite. For me, if side 1 was just an EP, it would be one of the best EPs ever made. Not to say that side 2 isn't fantastic. In my opinion, there's not a single skippable song on this album. But honestly,
Different songs for posers anyway.
of course, if you want to get into this album, guys, honestly, go straight in, listen to Can't Deny Destiny, and it will encourage you to listen to every other song on this record. Again, these guys are going to be playing a whole host of European dates this year. Germany, particularly at Keep It True, Dying Victims Attack, which I'm also going to.
I wish I could make that one. I'm so jealous. That looks amazing.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk about the lineup to that in a separate episode, actually, because again, such a strong lineup, and Dying Victim Records, they take a lot of care when it comes to putting together these releases. I think it's become a bit of a trading card for them now to sort of include a poster and, if I'm not mistaken, a postcard.
Oh, they've done that for years. That
Absolutely.
I've had loads of Dying Victims releases for many years now, and you always get so many kind of nice additional features to them.
Which I think it's such a nice touch. I think they take a lot of care putting these packages together, and all the bands that are signed with Dying Victims seem to be quite happy with their releases and with how things are
It's
going.
a killer label. Like, Florian does such an excellent job of both presentation and just kind of curating a really good roster of bands.
Absolutely. And again, he's a guy that is so dedicated to putting out these great releases, by fans for fans,
And he's going to have a stall at Keep It True, which is going to take a lot of my money as always.
Oh, bring your credit cards. It is a good idea.
His releases work out at like 18 euros when you buy them in person, or 20 euros or something, which compared to if you try to import them to the UK, for us, like, the shipping would be more than the records by quite a margin.
Absolutely. And yeah, he always does such great releases. And also, I just want to take a moment to talk about Jacob Montgomery, good friend of mine, self-professed Anglophile. He absolutely loves England, yet to visit, but Jacob, always welcome around these parts, man.
Always welcome.
Let's take you to a nice country pub when you get a chance.
We can show you the British Museum, which is out of about 10,000 exhibits, about 4 British things in it.
Absolutely, it's what we do best. But yeah, I'm yet to meet many of the other chaps from Freeways. Looking forward to seeing them again in Germany. We've got Dying Victims Attack, we've got Keep It True, and we've got a load of other dates that they're doing as well. Guys, go check them out if you're in Germany or want to travel and see them. Very well worth it.
They're going to be a really good set. I think they're going to really bring a good time for everyone.
Absolutely. Also, check out their first record. Check out their 7-inch. For me, this is like the sound that I think they've comfortably fit into, but their first release is awesome. Really is. I saw them for the first time at Hell's Heroes on the first year I went, and again, knocked my socks off. So much fun, so much energy, proper blue-collar boys making music that they love.
Speaking of, I'm really looking forward to seeing Drifter at Keep It True. They've just done a demo tape in a 7-inch, and that is blue collar British heavy metal, not made by Brits, but they're honorary Brits because it's that damn convincing.
You know what? Anyone we've mentioned today can have a British citizenship for their contributions to heavy metal.
We do have the power to give British citizenship. You can tell, like,
make a few phone calls
enough that you could convince people. Exactly, yeah. Just with a gab, mate.
100 speech Skyrim style, But again, some great bands that we've covered today. Guys, as always, we're going to be putting the links to where you can listen to all of these bands here. Again, this segment is fresh from the furnace and it's piping hot. Listen to these releases, stream it, buy the music, go support these bands, buy their merchandise, keeps them on the road, puts food in their belly and, keeps them going a bit longer,
Oh, yeah, and I think that more or less covers all of the heavy metal that we can cram into your attention spans, everyone, but...
I think so, and yeah, thank you all for listening.
Fun.
Yeah, and again, thank you for bearing with us with the audio issues last time, guys. Hopefully we've fixed that up a bit. Any suggestions that you have, whether it's bands that we should check out, whether past, present, you name it, or anything that you would like to see us talk about.
Feedback for the channel.
Yeah.
Like, I've done YouTube for a while, but recording via a call is really a new thing for both of us. So things like the audio, the video is a learning curve, and we appreciate you bearing with us. But any tips, we won't take offense. It just helps us make better videos for you guys and spread the word of real heavy metal.
Yeah, absolutely. We've not got an enormous viewership just yet, but we're so pleased with, people reaching out to us, saying they'd like to be a part of the show or that they'd like to, see certain bits on the show. And may I first and foremost just give a big thank out to shout out and thank you to Amelia, Jurgen's better half, helping us for about a half hour before we started recording. Yes. No, you're awesome, man. But for about half an hour before we started recording this, we were plagued with technical issues. We got it working out with her help. So thank you, Amelia.
If you watch those videos of like two primates trying to figure out like the most simple thing, it's us two with technology, man.
Absolutely. So Amelia, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's contributed, who's liked, who's subscribed, and has left comments. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Cheers, maniacs.
Cheers. Catch you later.